Chaos Zero Nightmare held its first closed beta test spanning roughly 4 days, during which I put my life on hold to put about 40 hours into the game. Mind you, these were 40 hours of real gameplay, not menu browsing or account management. While this is a gacha game, which usually equates to heavily restrictive systems that limit your playtime, CZN offers infinite content via its chaos missions, procedurally generated dungeons that don't require stamina to access. It goes without saying that sinking this much time into playtest means I was genuinely enjoying myself, and I can't wait for the official release. That said, there's plenty to fault the game for outside its core gameplay, and I won't gloss over those issues. After the beta wrapped up, I took some time to reflect on the experience and put together this review of CZN and, as you will hopefully find, a fair critique of its current state. First off, let's familiarize ourselves with the core aspect of the game that is essential to fully appreciate what CZN is about, the deck building. Every character comes with a total of 8 cards, 4 starting cards and 4 unique cards. The starting cards are available when you jump into a chaos mission, and the first 3 of them are generic damage, heal or shield cards, without any special effects. The 4th card is specific to a character's mechanics and synergizes with the other unique cards which you need to obtain during the dungeon exploration. Except for the final card, all of the character specific cards can be modified to have better multipliers, stronger effects, or even change its card type. In theory, this gives you immense freedom over how you want to build your character, though in practice it is very much up to chance. Every character starts with what is called a save data file that includes all of the base versions of the 8 cards, meaning none of them have a specific upgrade unlocked. All content except for Chaos Dungeons is tackled using this save data. To improve upon it, i.e. by unlocking particular effects or removing unwanted cards, you have to do said dungeons. In this roguelike game mode, you enter with a blank slate, only equipped with the character's 4 starter cards, hoping to obtain all unique cards and their desired upgrades. When entering a battle, some characters randomly gain an epiphany, denoted by the light bulb above their head. This light designates which card needs to be played to trigger the Eureka moment. So long as you play that card within the turn, you will obtain a new card or effect. Here, we get to choose between 2 randomly selected unique cards. This choice is only available for the first epiphany, subsequent ones will randomly assign a card. In the next scene, the epiphany lets us choose an upgraded effect for the activated card. These upgrades always offer the choice among 3 out of 5 possible options and will occur at most once per card. There are also events which provide you with opportunities for more epiphanies, sometimes randomly given to one member of the party, other times you get to choose. To add a bit more RNG, there are also special types of epiphanies which grant you a unique upgrade to a card effect that is not listed in the character's profile. These are very rare and come in 2 kinds, offering even more potential upgrades for your cards. Besides the character-specific cards, you can also get generic, sometimes class-specific cards during your exploration, either randomly dropped by elite enemies or via events, or by purchasing them at shops and resting areas. Most of these can also trigger their own upgrades via epiphanies, adding sheer endless possibilities to your builds. Aside from collecting cards, you most likely also want to get rid of the 3 generic starter cards in your deck. Drawing these is often accompanied by disappointment, and a healing card for a DPS character is outright absurd. You can remove or convert cards via events or buy a card removal in a shop at a resting area. Besides cards, you can also collect 3 gear pieces per character, with minor base stats and, scaling with the rarity, potentially useful effects. Again, gear can also be bought at the shops. Finally, once you defeat the boss of the dungeon, you get to choose 1 out of 3 randomly selected cards which you wish to duplicate in your deck. Ideally, you'd want it to be an important card for the character you are prioritizing, though the choices are completely random and may not even offer a card for that character at all. I'm giving you this much detail to illustrate the many layers of RNG involved in optimizing your build. If you are easily frustrated and don't enjoy the prospect of manually grinding for hours, CZN may not be the right fit. It doesn't just want to be your main game, it wants to be the only one. Much of the frustration and the inevitable player drop-off could be avoided by allowing players to continuously refine their existing save data. Unfortunately, such a system wasn't available during the beta, but I strongly recommend the developers consider it. Without the ability to build on previous runs, Chaos Dungeons risk devolving into a mode where you simply quit and restart the moment things don't go exactly as hoped. That being said, build optimization wasn't the goal during the playtest. I cannot overstate how much I enjoyed diving into CZN's combat, in awe of its audio-visual presentation, while exploring its intricate mechanics, character kits and synergies. Gacha games are often more about character collection, progression and management, with hands-on gameplay as an afterthought. Getting this much playtime and frankly challenging battles out of the early game of a stage-based gacha was truly a first.
全てが散った後に霧の時間です。やっどいてください。全員蹴散らしてやる。始末してやろう。
優位な苦痛になるといい。
私の神の名で命じる。
命令書貴様の分待っている。
One of my favorite lineups combined Kairon, whose mechanics revolve around card destruction, with Tressa, who generates self-destructing cards at zero cost. By playing these cards, she lowers the cost of Kairon's big hitters. Additionally, her kit is built around dot application, which stacks up nicely against this highly defensive boss, shredding a fourth of its HP in one go. Against the same boss, who benefits from a great deal of damage mitigation, Renoa turned out to be a great choice. After a bit of setup, she can dish out an impressive number of extra attacks. This defense scaling team is built around shielding and counterattacks. While it can be slow when enemies don't attack often, it is quite safe and sets itself apart from other playstyles. There are already many different card effects providing a lot of depth to combat strategies. For instance, Calip uses high-cost cards that automatically activate when 2 action points are spent, making her unleash tremendous bursts of AoE damage. It's great to see the variety of combat mechanics and intricate character kits the developers introduce right from the start. It highlights their passion and commitment to their craft. However, I do think there's one combat mechanic that could use some tweaking. CCN uses a Darkest Dungeon-like psychological stress system, which increases mostly when damage is taken. Once a character's stress level reaches its peak, they enter a mental breakdown which costs a lot of HP and makes them unable to attack. The usual cards are converted to special cards, which need to be played a certain number of times before the character is back online. As of now, there's no effective way of reducing mental stress, so taking heavy hits or attacks from multiple enemies can quickly make your character spiral out of control. This can lead to extremely challenging situations and sometimes failure, in particular when enemy mechanics require you to attack multiple times or restrict the number of cards you can play per turn. What's more, with every additional occurrence of a breakdown, more cards need to be played before you gain control of the character. The most I've had to use were a total of 11 cards after the 4th breakdown. This system is far too punishing, and the only means of preventing this from happening is to use characters that provide shields. As far as I was able to tell, no stress is accumulated when damage is blocked, giving great advantage to shielders over healers. This imbalance should be addressed by having healing drastically reduce the stress levels to offset the risk of having to soak the damage in the first place. On a related note, the game would do well to introduce a reshuffle mechanic for really bad draws, like Reverse 99's Timekeeper skills. It feels extremely bad to fail a 30 minutes long dungeon run when you draw no attack cards multiple times in a row, while the enemy boosts its damage massively if not attacked. The game does have a type of rewind system in place, though currently you can only undo the last card or rewind to the start of the turn, essentially tools to fix bad plays. Allowing players to reset a disastrous hand draw would go a long way toward preventing bad luck from derailing an entire run. A major complaint during the playtest was unclear card terminology, with character-specific effects missing from card descriptions. For instance, Amir uses a mechanic called metallization. You had to jump into combat to figure out that this grants her an extra attack when shields are obtained. This is a surprising oversight for a game with such a wide array of effects. There was also inconsistency in the use terminology, like Chiron, whose cards reference the creation of void, but the card in question is named futility. I'm not too concerned about this issue since it should be easy to fix before launch. In fact, during the developer showcase a few months ago, card effect explanations were already present, suggesting that we may have tested an older build of the game. Why that was the case, however, is anyone's guess. Outside of the roguelike game mode, CZN features more traditional upgrade systems. Characters and weapons are leveled up and require breakthrough materials every 10 levels. Characters also have so-called potentials, essentially talent trees, that grant bonus stats and additional card effects at major nodes. The required materials only drop in meager amounts from stamina stages, and stamina trickles back at a painfully slow pace. Somewhat irritatingly, higher difficulty resource stages are locked behind account level. Rather than testing how far your skill can take you, you're forced to wait until you've progressed another 10 levels and cleared a promotion mission. Systems like this, which gate progress by time instead of ability, undermine save data optimization and discourage seeking challenges. During the 4 days of the playtest, I was stuck farming the second difficulty of resource stages, which my Khalib obliterated by one-tapping each wave with a single card. This restriction should go. It is antithetical to the very spirit of CZN. Since we're on the topic of resource farming, CZN is also demonstrating an astounding lack of quality of life. While resource stages can be autoplayed, there's no actual speeding up of the process. You can increase the number of challenge attempts, but rather than multiplying the drops, you are simply fighting that many more waves of enemies. Is this truly the year 2025, or did I accidentally travel back in time? Let's do away with this nonsense and give us a sweep function. CZN is taking up plenty of their players' time with its roguelike game mode, so everything else should be streamlined as much as possible. Apparently, the game will also feature a gearing system similar to Hoyoverse titles, with randomized main and substats across 6 item slots. To me, that's a strange decision, since it clashes with the roguelike design at a fundamental level. These generic gacha systems feel duct-taped onto CZN's brilliant core, as if the devs poured their energy into the gameplay while outsourcing the rest to the sales department. Or perhaps an AI that copy-pasted features from other popular titles. Here's hoping they go back and rethink these choices, or at least polish them into something worthy. While I understand that gacha systems are built to constrain your fun rather than enhance it, the developers must realize there's a balance to strike. You can inconvenience paying players just enough that they're willing to trade cash for progression, but push too far and no one will want to bother at all. On that somber note, let us address the biggest elephant in the room, the gacha. It's mostly a one-to-one copy of the Hoyoverse system. The game launches with the special beginner banner with a 20% discount and a 50 pull pity. Across all banners, the rate of obtaining a 5-star, the highest rarity, is 1%. Whether this chance is low or extremely low will depend on the regular currency income. So far, we've only seen the dailies reward 60 gems, while a single pull costs 160. The standard banners are separated for characters and weapons, coming with a 70 pull pity. Featured banners will have a 50-50 chance of obtaining the rate up, including the weapon banner. After failing once, the next one is guaranteed. Going by previous information and the fact that they are following Hoyo's lead, we unfortunately should expect new characters to be limited. Having a 50-50 is one thing, but not updating the general pool turns losing the coin flip into a soul-crushing event, sucking all the joy and excitement out of a new patch. I've gone through this experience often enough with Hoyo and GFL 2. And I can only pray that CZN will follow the example of games like Reverse 1999, where characters enter the general pool after a few patches. I get that companies look at Hoyo's revenue and think they want a slice of that, but they need to temper their expectations. As polished as CZN's core gameplay is, its audience will likely be far smaller. Perhaps shareholder pressure pushes them to mimic their top-grossing titles, but as the system stands, they'll likely drive away a portion of their potential player base. With the gacha and resource economy, I've addressed my biggest gripes. My final points are only minor. While dark in its premise, the story felt somewhat generic and all over the place in its tone. The delivery doesn't add much to the experience, since characters converse as static images with a bit of movement and changes in expression.
倒せましたね。オーウェンさん。そうですか。ありがとうございます。ようやくカオスの環境に慣れてきた。そう思う時が一番危ないんですよ。
Side stories were not voiced at all, making them entirely skippable. Or so you might think, because story segments can only be skipped after their first view. Otherwise you have to hold a button to fast forward the scene. Why are we here again? I'm not sure why they are so intent on wasting their players' time. Likewise, story events in dungeons should allow skipping to the event choice, especially after repeated encounters. They were interesting the first time, but no one wants to see the same thing over and over. That said, whether or not you'll enjoy the story is entirely subjective, and I consider it more of an afterthought to CZN's roguelike gameplay. The dark setting, gory visuals, and gruesome monster design certainly work in its favor. Despite its broken shell, I believe CZN is brilliant at its core. It offers one of the most engaging turn-based combat systems in the gacha space, paired with outstanding visuals and sound. Honestly, I was able to enjoy the roguelike mode without dwelling on how the surrounding systems may drag the experience down. Since the game will be free, there's no harm in giving it a try to see if there's enough for you despite the flawed package. If only the developers could align the rest of the game with its core, we'd be looking at a genre-defining classic. The official release was just announced for the second half of October. I doubt we can expect much to change by then. In any case, let me know what you think of the game and if you're willing to give it a try. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.